objectives, the teacher set the learning outcomes to the student before she proceed and start to the new lessons. To inform her students what are the expectations and the learning outcomes. Review, the teacher asks the student what is the previous lessons they tackled last May and their lessons, which possess that people learn by connecting new ideas and experiences to what they have already known. Review, the teacher helped the students to relate and have a connection to the previous lesson. So she connect the topic through the personal experiences and emotion of the students to evoke and to connect in the interest so they can feel the relevance and the meaning of the lessons in their life. Motivation. Teacher Freda Aznar of Values Education collaboratively and cooperatively given insights about the inspirational quotes and the Bible verses about the involvement and volunteerism to open up the new lessons, where the students analyze and participate the new ideas and collaboratively learning together. Lesson proper. The teacher set the classroom in a conducive manner before she started the new lessons and arranged the students according to their needs, such as the student who has a poor eyesight, they are seated in front, and where the students are comfortable at their own space and surroundings while listening to the teacher's discussion. Generalization. The teacher will ask the students what they have learned in the lessons for today and how they will practice it and apply this in their daily life. Application. The teacher catch the interests, emotion, and values and the opinion of her students where the student feels safe, connected to their peers and leaders, and in touch with the goals and they are supported with emotional climates. An evaluation. The teacher provided a quiz after the lessons to assess the students' learning and practicing the new lessons acquired, the habits of mind that can be taught, and these habits include the routine of practices such as assessing the nature and the difficulty of the task and evaluating personal strengths and weaknesses in the light of the task and planning how to solve the related problems and applying the varied problem-solving strategies and self-monitoring success with those strategies.
Yes, because the teacher adopts her approaches to accommodate personal differences and a variety of learning styles. It shows that she took the characteristics of her students into mind when applying appropriate learning principles to their learning environment. Furthermore, when the teaching strategy encourages motivation, engagement, and the accomplishment of learning goals under the specified learning circumstances, the teacher's effective application is demonstrated, and the suitability of the applied learning concepts is further enhanced by her regular feedback and assessment systems, which enable modifications based on the student's success. Most of the students in the class we observed were engaged in the lesson. I believe the first reason some students may be passive is that they may not feel confident in their skills and may be afraid of receiving negative feedback from teachers or peers. Second, the teaching strategies do not accommodate students' chosen learning styles. Learning style mismatches can worsen passivity. Thirdly, students who find it difficult to express themselves in a language other than their native tongue may find it difficult to participate fully due to the language barrier. Finally, disengagement from the material or the teaching style may result from a lack of interest, which encourages passive behavior.
I observed that the majority of the students are actively engaged and paying close attention throughout the teaching and learning process. If their teacher posed a question, the students would confidently recite the appropriate answer. This demonstrates their level of understanding and the potency of the teaching techniques their teacher employed during the class discussion. The following are the communication skills that the teacher used during the teaching learning process. The teacher is kind and friendly, which makes it easy for her students to talk to her and establish good rapport with her. She delivers their lesson with clarity, correct pronunciation, and loud tone that make the student understand and pay attention to the lesson. And she always actively listening and giving feedback to her students when they are sharing their ideas, and also she sometimes used to joke around but still related to the topic to catch their attention and lighten up the mood in order to make the learning process engaging and interesting.
In generalization or closure, the interaction between the teacher and the students are important. The teacher letting the students to ask questions regarding the topic that confused them, or she will ask questions to the students for their opinion or suggestions regarding what they learned about the discussion. In application, enrichment or fixing skills, this is used to practice or measure what students have learned after the discussion. And in evaluation or assessment, the teacher doesn't give a post-test, but she manually evaluates and assess students' knowledge from what they have learned about the topic by asking some questions. After our observation, we notice that the flow of discussion used is congruent with the intended learning outcome of the teacher. The student achieve what they should learn based on what they have studied. And we also observe how will they work together with their classmates, also together with the teacher to accomplish what is needed.
Now, let's identify the strategies used by the teacher throughout the learning process. Number 1, on the motivation part. The teacher used an interactive game through a question and answer portion, but with a prize to motivate her students before starting the discussion. And number 2, on the presentation of the lesson. The teacher used visual aids to present her lessons. She also used a television, a laptop, and a PowerPoint presentation. And number 3, the development of the lesson. The teacher employed an inquiry-based instruction strategy in delivering the lesson to her students. And number 4, the generalization or closure or drawing insights portion. With this, she let her students answer her questions and making sure that at the end of the lesson, there is knowledge retained in their minds. And number 5, the enrichment or application or fixing skills. After Ma'am Freda discussed their lesson, Ma'am Freda asked them to do a performance output. And number 6, on the assessment or evaluation. Madam Freda assessed her students by giving an individual activity. And lastly, number 7, the agreement or the assignment part. With these, there was no assignment or agreement conducted.
To elicit meaningful learning, I would consider incorporating principles such as active engagement, relevance, and application. Strategies might include, first, active learning techniques, encouraging participation through discussions, group activities, and hands-on projects promotes engagement and deeper understanding. Second, real-world relevance. Connecting lessons to real-life scenarios helps students see the practical applications of what they're learning, making the content more meaningful. Third, differentiated instruction. Tailoring teaching methods to accommodate diverse learning styles and abilities ensures that every student has an opportunity to grasp the material. Fourth, feedback and reflection. Providing constructive feedback and encouraging reflection helps students understand their strengths and areas for improvement, fostering continuous learning. And last, technology integration.
Utilizing educational technology can enhance the learning experience, providing interactive tools and resources that cater to various learning preferences. Remember, the effectiveness of these strategies can vary based on the specific subject matter, the age of the learners, and the learning environment. Adjustments may be necessary based on ongoing assessment and feedback.
In the class activities that we observe, we have learned a lot insight about what teachers do inside the classroom. On the said activities, the teacher acts as a facilitator wherein the teacher let the student express themselves in learning by giving a group report. We also learned that the teacher is not supposed to be just teaching and sharing knowledge, but also help the students to grow on learning and personal development.
What insight did you learn from the class activities that you observed? In the class activities that we observed, I have learned a lot of insight about what teachers do inside the classroom. On the side activities, the teachers act as a facilitator and the teacher let the students express themselves in learning by giving a group report, and teacher is not just supposed to be just teaching and sharing knowledge but also help the students to grow on learning and personal development.
Recommended curriculum. It identifies the skills, concept, and content that will be emphasized throughout the learning process. Next is written curriculum. The written curriculum refers to a lesson or syllabus written by teachers. Next is taught curriculum. The curriculum that is delivered by teachers to the students. Next is supported curriculum. Learning supports are the resources, strategies, and practices that provide physical, social, emotional, and intellectual supports intended to enable all pupils to have an equal opportunity for success. Next is assess curriculum. Assessment identify what students to know, understand, can do, and feel at varying stages in the learning process. Next is learn curriculum. All the changes occurred in learners due to their school experience are called learn curriculum. Last is hidden curriculum. The hidden curriculum is described as hidden because it's usually unacknowledged or unexamined by students, educators, and the wider community.
Behavioral objectives are the desired learning outcomes that is more varied than the other lesson plans, although they have the same learning objective domains and targeting the purpose of the lessons. It's just different using the term of the terminology such as the content standards, performance standards, and the learning competencies and objective that follows another target outcomes when using a daily lesson plan. Content. The content in the daily lesson plan are similar to the detailed SEMI and the E7 lesson plan template that they are arranged and operationally in order. Teaching and learning methods. The teaching and the learning methods and the strategies used in a daily lesson plan are similar to other lesson plans to catch the attention of the student. And lastly, evaluation. The form of assessment and evaluation used in daily lesson plans are similar to other types of lesson plan. They are aligned in the objectives of the lessons to achieve the learning outcomes.
Under the motivation, the teacher and students use laptop and PowerPoint presentation during their discussion. Under the presentation of lesson, they also use a laptop with PowerPoint presentation and module. And in development of the lesson, the teacher used module and PowerPoint presentation.
In generalization or closure, the interaction between the teacher and the students are important. The teacher letting the students to ask questions regarding the topic that confused them, or she will ask questions to the students for their opinion or suggestions regarding what they learned about the discussion. In application, enrichment, or fixing skills, this is used to practice or measure what students have learned after the discussion. And in evaluation or assessment, the teacher doesn't give a post-test, but she manually evaluates and assesses students' knowledge from what they have learned about the topic by asking some questions. After our observation, we noticed that the flow of discussion used is congruent with the intended learning outcome of the teacher. The student achieve what they should learn based on what they have studied. And we also observe how well they work together with their classmates, also together with the teacher to accomplish what is needed.
After our observation, we noticed that the flow of discussion used in congruence with the intended learning outcome of the teacher. The student achieves and experiences what they should learn based on what they have studied. And we observe how well they work with their teacher to accomplish it.
There is a lesson flow and competencies according to the needs of learners as observed during the lesson presentation. The lesson objectives of the teacher practically speaks of the curriculum being implemented in the school. There is also organization of lessons according to the degree of difficulty as it showcases the spiral curriculum as observed.
How can educational experiences be effectively organized and contribute to the attainment of learning objectives? So for us, educational experiences is indeed important in various purposes. It can effectively organize everything to attain the learning objectives because these experiences serve as our guide or map to lead us in the right direction. And in addition, with the knowledge and wisdom we obtain from our professors could also contribute in achieving our learning objectives. You know why? Because we have an in-depth understanding of what is right and what is wrong. So, we will encounter minimal to zero problems. Overall, these educational experiences become our blueprint that in every decision we make is based on what we have learned. And last, from the lesson plan, evaluate the resources and compare it with the actual resources utilized in the classroom. By evaluating the resources of my group mates in each of our lesson plans, we can say that we complied on what is written in our lesson plan's resources. With digital resources like PowerPoint and laptop, we managed to teach our lessons to our students. However, on non-digital resources, there are some who unfortunately failed to present their instructional materials due to some reasons. But still, the majority of our group successfully exhibit their IMs or instructional materials because we received feedback that our students were amazed with our efforts in making those teaching aids. So, these resources literally help us to finish our demo teaching as it made it easy for us to teach and get the attention of our students because of our creative PowerPoint designs and teaching materials.
Active learning methodologies are widely recognized as effective in promoting students' engagement and understanding. There are new facilities that DepEd added to schools that has it been utilized by the learners. These infrastructures can be seen in public schools. The effective arrangement of educational experiences to support the achievement of objectives or goals for learning outcome necessitates thorough preparation, strategic design, and adaptable implementation. By incorporating these principles such as clear learning, objectives, real-world relevance, assessment strategies, and collaborative learning, education can create a more engaging, effective, and learner-centered environment that facilitates the achievements of intended learning outcome.
Planning, managing, and implementing a developmental sequence teaching and learning process involves several key steps. First is understand the curriculum requirements and the diverse needs of the students. Next is develop a scope and sequence that align with both curriculum and individual learning styles. And next is utilize differentiate instruction to accommodate varied contexts, adapting teaching methods to suit the diverse learners. To set achievable and appropriate learning outcomes aligned with the learning competencies, the following should be considered such as understand competencies, align with the standards, use smart curriculum, and incorporate assessment, giving feedback, and being adaptable and other appropriate learning outcomes that align with the learning competencies.